Hello, welcome to OKTV. I'm your host, Ronald Thomas. Actually, I'm filling in for the regular host, Al DiGiacomo. He's off for the summer. He's off somewhere swimming or running, whatever he's doing, he's away. But I'm filling in, and I hope to have a nice time. Before I start, I have to mention a few things to you, or I just might not be back. First of all, this month, there are two separate Oaklander shows. Oaklander's 5th August Summer Musical, which features musical and special guests since last September, and that's hosted by Don Buchanan and Stacy Kahn. We also have the Alternative Show, which is Sunday at 7 o'clock p.m. on Channel 20, and we have a summer return of 3D animation video by Hollywood Steve Spear, and Escape from Catatonia with special original music score by Sal Riggy. And our first guest for this evening is chiropractor Brad Butler. Brad, welcome to the show. It's nice to have you.
Thanks for having me, Ron.
And you're going to talk to us about chiropractic and some of the health benefits, some of the benefits of going to a chiropractor, what actually a chiropractor does and how our body can benefit from that. So I'd like to start off by asking you, tell us about chiropractic. How did it get started? What is it exactly? What's involved in chiropractic?
There's a couple questions that I could answer in that question. First of all, chiropractic began back in 1895, so it's been around 104 years already. And it really evolved because, much like today, back then, society needed a new paradigm with health. Back then, there was lots of controversial things going on. Cyanide was a form of treatment for a patient. Bleeding was a form of treatment for a patient. And a lot of people were not being handled properly. The founding father of chiropractic, his name is D.D. Palmer, back in 1895, knew there needed to be a change. And what he said was, by studying the anatomy of the human body, he was able to induce that the nervous system was the controlling system of the body. Further, if the nervous system could communicate effectively with the body, then the body would have optimum health, or 100% function. He also was able to, through his research, find out that tiny misalignments in the vertebrae, which make up the spine, could create an impingement or a force upon that nerve and decrease the function of the nerve, thereby decreasing health potential in the body. So that's how chiropractic came about. As a chiropractor, my job is to locate and remove what's called a subluxation. Now, subluxation is that bone that moves out of its normal alignment and impinges upon that nerve.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
When that occurs, nerve transmission is decreased. Okay, so the body loses a state of function, and health, by definition, is a state of function, Ronald. So by adjusting the spine, we're able to restore function to the individual, therefore increasing their health.
Okay.
That's how chiropractic fits into healthcare.
Now, lots of times today, there's so much being talked about with medication and maybe when people have a back problem or a backache, taking drugs or not taking drugs. When you help somebody with chiropractic, do you use drugs at all, or is it just something that is totally without drugs and you're just aligning the spine or just trying to fix their spine?
That's correct. Chiropractic is a drug-free profession. It really is. It came about because of the problems we have in our society with medications and things of that sort. When you treat disease instead of the individual, you're fighting a losing battle, because disease is a process that occurs. Many times when medications are used, we have to treat the side effects of those medications as well. Chiropractors, and I personally believe, that when the body is free of any kind of outside interference, the body will function its best. And as a chiropractor, my objective then is to locate where in the nervous system the body is interfered with, and then remove that with a gentle hands-on adjustment, and help that individual to restore health to their body again. We actually brought along a comic that I have in my
and I think I have it right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have hanging that on my board. It's just,
okay. I'm going to just hold
it's a humorous way to allow the patients in our office to see where is society right now. I mean, do we really want to grow up and raise our families on Band-Aids and Tylenol? Or is society moving more towards a wellness paradigm? And we really are. Health is a state of function. People are becoming more proactive these days. And just like eating right, just like proper exercise, just like proper rest, chiropractic fits into that paradigm. It's not a treatment of disease, it's a restoration of function and health.
Okay. Well, this is very interesting. I'm going to place this down. So when it comes to medication and us taking care of our bodies, you're not for that. You're for maybe, are you for us trying to naturally try to heal? Or I guess when we need the medication, take it, but otherwise, if we don't have to, don't always lean towards that.
That's a personal decision. You know,
Right.
my job is not to tell you whether or not you should take medication. My job is to encourage you to understand the function of the body, how the body really stays healthy. You know, health is defined in a dictionary definition, if you look it up in a medical dictionary, as function, 100% function of all the organs and systems of the body, and not the absence of disease or infirmity. We in our society base our health how? How do you know when you're healthy?
I guess when you're not in pain.
That's what most people think. If I feel okay, I'm okay. And that's wrong. You could feel great and drop dead the next day. It's a known fact. People drop dead of heart attacks all the time and never knew they had heart disease. In fact, 30% of all heart attacks, fatal heart attacks, are the first sign of heart disease in our society. So again, do we want to chase disease once the process and be reactive once the process has begun, or do we want to be proactive and do things that will increase the health of our body? And chiropractic is one of those things. So again, it's a personal decision whether or not somebody wants to do that. But by restoring function and allowing the body to work its best in the first place, many times you won't have to treat a disease later on.
Okay, and also I know you brought some things to show us. Can you explain maybe little by little what you have here and what you want to show us?
To go over that again, that is simply a timeline from infancy through senior citizen.
Okay, I'll hold this up again.
You know, the fad drugs that these people are going on throughout the rest of their life. We start with antibiotics. We put our kids on Ritalin. You know, I've always laughed at the fact that we spend our whole lives looking for ways as adults to get more energy, right? We're taking, you know, vitamins, we're exercising more, we want more energy, we meditate, and yet when our kids express energy, what are we doing to them? Oh, I can't handle that kind of energy. We're driving it down, we're putting them on Ritalin. 2 to 3 million kids every single day go to school and get a fix of Ritalin. And that's a very dangerous drug, and most people aren't told that. So that's an important point. So these are some of the things that we talk about. They go through their teens and appetite suppressors, no-dose for the college years. We go to Prozac, Zantac, and then I love this one, 65 and on, everything else. And the reason that's humorous and sad at the same time is because 85% of all of our healthcare dollars are spent in the last 15 days of life. So what we try and educate our patients on is if you spent a little more time, a little more energy, and maybe a little bit more of your resources in the beginning, you won't have that problem later on. This is another comic. This is a Kathy comic, and I thought this one was really funny.
Let me hold this up so everybody can see.
It goes through 20-year spans from 1959 to 1999. It talks about the flu. And in 1959, what was the remedy for the flu? It was take chicken soup. You know, have your mom make you some chicken soup. The duration was 2 weeks. In 1979, we added chicken soup, we added decongestants, cough syrups, and nose sprays, and the duration was still 2 weeks. In 1999, which is this year, the remedy for the flu is now chicken soup, decongestants, cough syrup, nasal spray, echinacea, golden seal, elderberry, garlic extracts, zinc lozenges, ginger root, selenium. All of these things are coming in, and the duration is still 2 weeks. And what's great about that particular comic is it restores faith in the body. The body is much more intelligent than we are, and when the society realizes that and we have a lot more reverence for our body, we'll realize that healing is a process that takes time. You can't speed up the process. It simply needs to take its natural course of time. So that's that particular comic.
That's
I love
very
that
interesting. That's really interesting. Now, how about we have some pictures over here?
Yeah, society is really moving in the way of natural alternatives.
How about I hold them up
fits
and then
into
you
that?
can,
Sure.
Okay, sort of
These are some
describe
famous
them.
people who are huge advocates of chiropractic care. They appeared on the cover of Today's Chiropractic. Joe Montana is one of them. He came on the Today Show in 1989 before their Super Bowl, and he said, if I'd known about chiropractic before I had my surgery, I'd still be playing. He talks about the fact that I don't see a chiropractor because I have a headache or because I have a stiff back. I see a chiropractor because I heal quicker. I'm a happier person. I'm healthier because of it, and that's why his whole family is under chiropractic care. So these are some very popular people in society that are stepping out and being advocates for chiropractic. So you can see that the paradigm shift is going there. A lot of studies are coming out now on alternative care. Chiropractic is not an alternative care. It's chiropractic, but they group it in alternative, and so that's fine. But in 1998, there were 629 million visits paid to alternative care practitioners, mostly chiropractors. That was far more than any medical profession, all medical professions combined. And it's just a sign of where people are heading. They're heading towards natural health care.
That's interesting. And now, how about this one? Is this still other
These
celebrities
are other famous
that are
people. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
These hang on my wall, and that's why I brought them in for
Oh,
you.
I see, okay.
So people, that when they come into our office, they can see a lot of the celebrities. You know what it is? We are moving towards wellness. People are exercising more. They're taking better care of themselves. And that's a societal shift that needs to take place. People need to understand that health comes from within. And when a society understands that, we hit a critical mass, then everybody understands that. And then more and more people will not only be under chiropractic care, but be taking care of themselves more efficiently.
Okay. And again, I'm just going to go through all of them here. So these are just celebrities that are, I guess, Evander Holyfield.
Yeah, sure. Evander Holyfield.
That go to chiropractic and that are doing very well.
Yeah, and peak performance. Chiropractic is all about optimum health, optimizing your body's ability to function. Again, all function. Every process of your body is under control of your nervous system. And if it's choked off, or if the life is choked off at the level of the spine, those processes cannot occur effectively.
Okay. And I'll just hold up the last one here. Let's see. Oh, I know Dan O'Brien. Okay.
Sure.
Right.
Gold medal
Olympics.
athletes. Sure.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting. This is really interesting. Could you also maybe explain for us, maybe people that exactly don't know what the model is that you brought, what it's all about? Maybe I could like put it so that we can get a look at it.
There's two models here that I use in educating my patients. It's very important to understand this is a plastic segment of a low back vertebrae. Okay, there's three. There's a motor unit. Okay, and typically we want to see a spine. We look at somebody from behind. You want to see that their spine is what? Straight. Okay.
You know what I can do too? I can probably hold it for
Okay.
you up here so the camera can get a look at it.
So when you see your child on the beach, or you see your child swimming, and you look at their back, you can see that their spine is straight. The importance of that is to understand that if you turn it to the side, you can see the other way for me.
The other side.
Sure.
Okay, my right to my left. Left to
You
right.
can understand now that the nerve comes out of a hole, which is just big enough for that nerve and a couple of tiny, tiny blood vessels that aren't there.
Okay.
When the spine moves out of position just a little bit, what happens to that nerve channel? It closes off.
Okay. Is it like damaged, or is it like being
Absolutely.
Stressed? Or?
Yeah, it becomes damaged. The nerve becomes damaged itself. The nervous system, as we know, is very fragile.
Right.
You know, I use Christopher Reeve as an example.
Okay.
He bruised his brainstem, and he has lost all his vital functions, his ability to walk, breathe, digest food. That's how important the nervous system is to our body. When a small misalignment occurs like that, the same thing happens over a longer period of time. Okay, it takes a long time for the degeneration to set in. The importance of the nerve is, if you want to look at this model right here, is that it conducts electricity.
Okay.
You can press the red button right there.
And
Again, this is
okay, now
nothing
when I
on it.
press this button, the light will come on.
You'll see the light flashing, and
This will show the audience how good I am with gadgets, which is not very good at all. Okay,
you just have to press the red button. We took all the stress out of it for you. And hold it in there for me.
Thank you, Brad.
The nerve is normally, we try and make things easier. The nerve is normally sending out electrical impulses. The brain is a major generator of energy, and that's how the body works. It produces energy, it sends it out to the tissues of the body, whatever those tissues might be. It could be your heart, it could be your muscles to tell you to move. It's a continuous cycle. When you move the bone, if you can hold that in and turn the bone, one of the vertebrae,
you want me to be
we're going to be more complicated here.
Okay, turn it.
What happens to that nerve impulse?
Oh.
It dramatically decreases.
Oh, look at that. This is really, I hope you guys can see it. I'm not sure if you
cool,
can.
Isn't it?
Well, so when I turn this, the pulse, the impulses don't come out as fast.
That's right.
Is it because there's stress, right?
It's because there's stress on the nerve itself. It decreases the ability of that nerve to communicate. The simple way to look at it, Ronald, is that the brain needs to talk to the body to tell it how to work.
Right.
And if the brain can do that, the body will have health. If the brain cannot do that effectively, the body will go into a state of dysfunction, or dis-ease as we call it, which is that long period of time before you get disease. So in our society, again, we're down here in disease treatment. We need to move more towards functional treatment.
And now this, I just want to turn it around, okay, because I'm not, medically inclined, but this is the spine, right, in here?
The bones, the white that you see, is the spine itself, the bones, the vertebrae.
Oh, this is the spine.
This that you see going down is the actual extension of the brain called the spinal cord.
Oh, I see.
It's really the same thing, the same tissue.
Right.
From that branches off this spinal nerve.
Oh,
It's
so
one
this is the
continuous
cord,
pathway, Ronald. Yeah, that's real important to understand.
Right.
The nerve begins in the brain, comes down the spinal cord, and out to the tissue that way.
And when, like you mentioned, you showed us earlier, when this is turned, when this is turned, like say in a person, am I going to know that I'm out of alignment? Will I feel it, or is it going to be when something major happens, like
Most of the time you won't know.
I
That's a
won't know.
great question. You know, I'm glad that you asked that question. Most of the time you don't know. We
That's
use
what
the term, in fact, it says it right here, pinched nerve in society,
see.
way too much. In fact, only a third of your nervous system is dedicated to sensory, feeling pain. Okay?
Right.
So that means that 2/3 is doing something else. So if you're damaging the nerve that goes to your liver or your heart, you're not going to feel that. Okay? If you're damaging a sensory part of the nerve, you might feel that. So most people who say, well, I don't have any back pain, I don't have any headaches, I don't need to see a chiropractor, I can't
Right.
be subluxated, they're wrong.
I was just going
They
to
most
ask you
likely
that.
are.
Right.
And the things that create subluxation or spinal imposition, the malposition of the bone itself, are things that you do every day in life. Sitting, bad posture. It starts very, and I like that you corrected yourself. I mean, people always do that. We do that. You sit up straight when you talk about posture.
Right.
These are things that occur at a very young age. The birth process itself is extremely traumatic to the spine. We have pictures, and we can show you the damage that's done. The natural position, if there's any pregnant women watching the show right now, they need to understand the natural birthing position is to stand and squat. Okay? The pelvis opens a
Okay, I'm
full
sorry. Could you just
third
repeat?
more.
The natural position.
The natural position for a pregnant woman to give birth is squatting.
Okay.
Squatting increases the ability of the pelvis to open by a full third more.
Okay.
That's incredibly important because in our society, again, it's a societal thing, most women give birth in a hospital, correct?
Right.
And where are they put? On their backs, legs up,
Right.
fighting gravity.
Oh, I see.
And what do you notice about the heads of newborns? They're cone shaped, okay? Because the birth canal itself is much more small than it should be, and so the head has to squeeze through that. But if you've ever seen a baby who was born in a third world country where they don't have hospitals, and the women walk in behind a rock or into the woods by themselves, or wherever they might be, and squat, the baby's head is perfectly shaped the way it is 3 weeks after a baby coming out of the hospital is. Birth trauma is extremely, extremely important to understand. It's very well documented now, and it's really, in most cases, the first instance of subluxation in the upper neck of the baby. So it begins very young in life, kids learning how to walk as they fall on their bottoms, okay? I have 2 kids, and both of them, as I watched them walk, fell 20, 30, 40 times a day learning how to walk. These are traumas that do what to the spine? They move it out of its normal alignment, okay? Again, a chiropractor, even at a very young age, would go in there with a very gentle adjustment and restore the position of the bone to allow that baby to be healthy. And when a kid is healthy, a kid doesn't get sick, okay? It's that important.
Now, just in regards to what you were talking about with pregnant women, is there a way they're supposed to, I mean, during their pregnancy, when they're sitting or throughout their pregnancy, is there a way they're supposed, are there certain precautions they could take or not really? Just good posture, just remember to sit up or?
It's not even that, you know, because with the amount of strain on their spine, okay, they're going to have a lot of dysfunctions. But yeah, it's going to create problems. Their center of gravity shifts. They're now carrying more weight. There's more stress emotionally on their body. So there's a lot of things that our pregnant patients go through that we see that are just things that you cannot help. It's just a natural course. But understand, pregnancy is a process. You know, there's a vital developing baby in there, and that baby needs to have proper nerve impulse to develop healthily. Okay, so that's an important point. Pregnant women who are adjusted are much healthier. They give birth easier. That's all documented. It's very well known. So I would encourage any pregnant woman to make sure that they get adjusted.
So just going over what we've gone over so far, with chiropractic and going to a chiropractor, would you say that, I mean, most of us, when we're on a regular basis, or at least semi-regular, we try to make sure we have a checkup. We try to make sure we are as healthy as possible. We try to have regular visits to the doctor. Should we have regular visits to a chiropractor, or, you know, do we, I mean, how do you feel about that? Do you think people just come to the chiropractor, okay, I was in an accident, I'm going to the chiropractor, or I injured myself, I'm going to a chiropractor, but then after that, they really don't go? Or should it be something where, just like we go to the doctor, just like we go for a checkup, just like we take care of ourselves, we should also do that with chiropractic?
Yeah, very good point. You mentioned a couple of things that cross. We go to a medical doctor for a checkup to make sure that we don't have any pathology, okay? Make sure we don't have any diseases going on that we don't know about, mammograms, things like that.
That's what pathology is?
That's what pathology is, disease
You gotta
process.
help me along. I'm trying.
We do other things, like you said. We exercise regularly.
Right.
We meditate for wellness. Medicine and chiropractic are parallel lines. Medicine is the discovery and the treatment of disease. Chiropractic is the promotion of health. So as long as you want your body to work at its best, you should make sure you have your nervous system checked for function. All right, and that's what a chiropractor does. So yes, everybody should incorporate a spinal checkup into their regular, every weekly, monthly routine to make sure that their body is working at its best. When I'm asked that question, when I'm doing a lecture or in the practice, I say only as long as you don't want your nervous system working at below 100%. How often should I come? As long as you want yourself working at your best. All right? As a chiropractor, I'm a doctor, I don't know when I'm subluxated. Okay? But I do know.
Again, I'm sorry. Subluxation?
Subluxation is the movement of the vertebrae out of its alignment.
Okay, when it's
that's what
off,
causes the nerve dysfunction. Sure.
Right.
Thank you for asking that again.
Okay.
It's a new
I'm
term
just trying
for
to
many
hang in
people.
there. But, okay.
But I don't know when I'm subluxated or
Right.
have nerve damage very
Right.
often. I need to have my spine checked as well, right? Because we do things during our normal life, our normal lifestyle. Sitting here right now in poor posture, a kid sitting in school with a backpack. In general,
Oh,
you know what I'm
okay.
saying. A kid who sits through school, while they're growing, they're sitting 6 hours a day, or they're carrying a backpack to and from school that weighs maybe a third of their body weight. We see this all the time. I do screenings, and when I do the screenings, you can see how many kids are missed for scoliosis checks. It's kind of stunning. You know, they have curvatures of their spine that aren't picked up, and you know, nobody wakes up in the morning. No kid wakes up in the morning with, you know, a 40-degree scoliosis or a 40-degree curve to their spine. That's a process.
Over
that takes,
time.
yeah, it takes time, and the chiropractor picks that up, and we allow the body to work at its best so that doesn't progress. But it's a great question. Sure, it should be incorporated into your regular healthful regimen. Absolutely.
Now, also, just preparing for the interview, I had a lot of questions for you, and you answered a lot of them for me. But a couple of other questions I had. As a matter of fact, it's so funny because before, as I was coming to the interview a couple of days before, I had some comments that from some friends of mine that go to a chiropractor that since they've been going to the chiropractor, they don't have allergies anymore, or little side benefits, and I just don't get the connection unless maybe you could just explain it to me. Okay, you don't have allergies, but you go to a chiropractor and all of a sudden your allergies aren't as bad or your asthma isn't as bad? Or
Right.
Could you explain that a little bit, how that happens? Or
Again, chiropractic is not a treatment of a disease or a disease process. When we adjust someone's spine, very gently adjusting it, we allow the nervous system to once again take control of the body. I think the number one thing that we need to educate our kids on about health, so that when they grow up they can educate their kids, and then we make real changes in healthcare in our society, is the fact that the number one controlling system of your body is your nervous system. The brain is, you know, the Mac Daddy in the body, you know what I mean? It controls everything.
right.
And if it is not able to control and coordinate the changes in your body, that's when we have problems. So by removing an interference to the body, some people might express that with an absence of allergies now, or their asthma goes away, happens all the time. Their blood pressure comes down. Their ulcers that they, you know, that they can't find treatment for go away. Now, why is that? That's because the nervous system allows the body to regularly turn over healthy tissue. Okay, old, worn-out tissue with healthy tissue. It's a process. Many people, have you heard of Deepak Chopra?
No.
He's one of the
I haven't.
best-selling authors. He's a medical doctor and lecturers in the world. And he talks about the mind-body connection. Okay, chiropractors are truly the mind-body doctors. We allow the mind to once again control the body. And so processes that are normally should be in balance, they go out of balance, and we get allergies or asthma or ear infections, things like that. Once the body gains control of those, they stop, they cease. Okay, but it is a process, number one. And number two, you can't go for 2 weeks and your allergies go away or something happens that's beneficial for you, and then you turn around and you stop and you say, oh, I'm done now.
Well, you know what, Brad? We really appreciate you coming on the show. I mean, you've really shed a lot of light on chiropractic and what is involved and what we need to do. And it seems that it's much more than we might take for granted. Maybe we don't take it quite as serious enough. I know I'm going to take it a little more serious. I'm going to sit up straight. I'm going to behave. I'm going to try to...
And have your spine checked.
Oh, yeah, have my spine checked. So thank you for coming on the
Great.
show.
Ronald, thank you
We
for having me.
appreciate it, and, we really appreciate the information. It was very interesting.
Good. Be well.
Okay, thanks. So that takes care of our show with Brad Butler on chiropractic. Next, we'll go and talk to the 3 members of the First Aid Squad of Oakland when we come back.
I love Jamaica. I love the seaside. I love the mountains that roll to the sand. I love the nighttime, the salt spray sunshine. I am learning. You are teaching me now.
It's Aesop and the Fables. A fox once gave a stork some soup. The way he served it was wrong. The bowl was flat and the stork couldn't reach it. His beak was much too long. I see you aren't that hungry, said the fox, it must be true. So he finished up his dinner and he ate the storks too. Well, the stork served lunch the very next day in a pitcher oh so tall. Then the fox, even though he was starving, couldn't reach any food at all. I guess we're even now, said the stork with a grin. The fox put down his fork and said, okay, you win. The moral is, when you're the host, you gotta think of what your guest needs most. The moral is, when you're the host, you gotta think of what your guest needs most.
I will see. They say it's true, man. The world looks good, man. I am learning. You are teaching me now.
Hello and welcome back. We're here talking with Oakland's First Aid Squad. We're here with two of the founding members, Connie Monks and Vivian Walker, and also a lifetime member, Mr. Bob Enfield. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'd like to start off by asking you the history. This is a very special day for us because we get to hear the history of the First Aid Squad. I know you must have so many memories and so many stories. Can you talk to us and tell us how the squad got started, or one of the reasons it got started?
Yes, I'd be happy to. In 1952, my son was taken ill with leukemia.
And this is your son here?
And this is my
okay,
son.
I'll hold this up.
John Robert Walker, and that is the name of the squad, the John Robert Walker Memorial Oakland First Aid Squad Incorporated. Mm-hmm. And he was taken ill with leukemia, and at that time Oakland did not have an ambulance, and we had to take him to New York for blood transfusions, and Pompton Lakes was our guiding light in taking us over there, and they helped us to transport him back and forth to New York City. So that's how we started. And then in 1954, through the generosity of a lot of townspeople, they were volunteers that wanted to help us when we formed the squad, and they participated in offering their services, of which we were greatly appreciative of at that time. And we made our group in August of 1954. And that's when we were started, August 13, 1954.
Okay, so August 13, 1954, and that's when you started the First Aid Squad.
That's right, yes.
Mm-hmm. And when you started the squad, was it difficult to get it started?
Not, because the response was tremendous from the townspeople, and everybody pitched in, and at that time, we didn't have a meeting place, but we met in everybody's home where they had room for us, and that's the way we got started.
Okay, that's wonderful. And I know you also have some great pictures to show us. If you pass me them one at a time, I can hold them up and you can explain to us a little bit about what the pictures mean and what they are.
This is our first ambulance that my husband and I purchased from Pompton Lakes, and that's when we had our first vehicle. And that's our first Cadillac that we had.
Wow. That's great. That's terrific. Now, when you purchased this, did you do it from your own resources?
Yes, we did.
Yes,
we did. We did it from our own resources, and along with the volunteers that participated in conducting the courses and the different services that we required at that time.
Mm-hmm. And now the next picture, if you pass me, whichever one you want to show, yeah. I'll hold up for you.
This is our first parade that we had in Oakland.
Memorial Day.
On Memorial Day of 1954.
Your first parade.
Our first parade.
Wow, that's great. 1954, huh?
That's when we had that, yes.
What are your memories from that parade?
Well, I know
when you
everybody
recall?
turned out for it because we had a terrific following and
Right.
everybody was wishing us good luck, and
Right.
it was a memory that we certainly enjoyed looking back on.
That's great. And here you are still today, you know, many years later. And how about the small picture there? Or if you want to pass me the other one, whichever one you want.
Which
Well, that was just an example of how we
Okay.
used to do our fund drives. We
Oh, really?
passed the
Okay.
coin cards, and the
Okay.
people put quarters in them.
Oh, that's great.
And
That's
then we went
great.
around house to house and picked them up in May.
Okay. Oh, that's wonderful.
And that
That's
was the
wonderful.
mayor, Thornton,
at that time.
and that's myself and Bob.
Wow. That's You're looking pretty good here, Bob.
Yeah.
Looking pretty good here. I noticed on the back, is this the year, 67 or 67?
67.
67.
That's the year I was captain, yeah.
Really? That's great. That's terrific. Okay. And how about the last picture? Last but not least.
This is a picture of our burning of the mortgage. We built our quarters, and 1962 was our dedication, and
Okay.
we borrowed money. The town was very generous in giving us a piece of property to establish our building, and we acquired the mortgage and built the building and had the burning of the mortgage in 1962 was when we established it. We burned it 15 years later.
Wow. So all paid for.
It's all paid for.
All paid
Well,
for.
we're self-supporting,
Okay.
and everybody can use our vehicles free of charge, and the way we operate is by fund drive, by asking for donations. So
Right.
that's the way we operate.
Is the way you operate now, I'll put this down, is the way you operate now similar to the way you operated back in 1954, back in the beginning, or has there been a lot of changes that you've noticed?
You mean as far as the fund drive is concerned?
Like fund drives and say getting, like some of the pictures we had here, say if you need another ambulance car or you need funds, is it still the same basic way you've done it from the past? You still do it now, or are there any changes?
Well, in those days, we did it with the coin cards, and then we would expect the people to send them back to the mail, or we would go get them. But the way we do it today, we do it with letters from the borough through us to the residents,
Okay.
and their response then through the mail also.
Right. That's great. And also, what services do you provide? Maybe the community, people that are watching the show, that are watching, what services do you provide that maybe the community doesn't know about, or that you'd like to tell us that maybe we don't know?
Well, some of the services we provide is we have a loan-out department. Anybody needs crutches and wheelchairs, things like that. We have a supply of them, and that's all free.
Okay.
Um,
Is there any, like if, okay, say I needed crutches, say I fell, which is not uncommon for me to fall, but say I fall, which I do quite a bit, can I just come in and say I need crutches, I don't have anywhere else to go, and I can get some crutches?
You could get, yes, you would contact someone on the squad, and then they would
Right.
meet you at the building,
Okay.
and they would fit you for the crutches, and then you'd be on your own.
Okay, I'll keep you in mind. Also, I'm sure between all three of you, all your knowledge, you have a vast array of knowledge. Who would you say are, besides yourselves maybe, are also very important in the first aid squad that you heard about or that you might have met that have really played a part, and include yourself if you'd like, please, in keeping the squad to continue to last this many years? Who would you say? If it's you, mention yourself.
Well, I would say that the fourth member of this group right here, Lenny Baum,
Right.
is a very important part
Okay.
of the organization.
Okay.
He was our training officer for many, many, many years. So all of our training is direct from him,
Okay. So he hung in there. He always.
and he still is
and
active
still
on the
there
squad.
now. That's great. That is really good. Are there any new changes in the squad taking place now? Is there anything developing now in the first aid squad that you would like to share with us?
Mostly what's taken place is the training requirements. The state of New Jersey now has a say in all the requirements that we have to fulfill. So outside of answering the calls exactly the same as we did right in the very beginning, that's never changed.
Right.
But some of the training requirements have. And, you know, CPR came about in our time. We didn't have that when we began. And now with the defibrillators, and there's so much more that you can do
What are defib?
today.
I can't say it.
The defibrillators
What are
are
they?
to shock the heart back into
I
a
see.
normal rhythm.
Okay.
And I don't know if you read about it, but they're beginning to put them in all the police cars and the ambulances, of course. And saved a lot of lives.
Okay. So the training, would you say overall that it's made the squad, the first aid squad, better?
Well, we think the training today is much more better than what it was 30 years ago when we were active. The technology has bettered, and new equipment has come out. The training requirements per member is more, and so we feel that the person today on all first aid squads are much better trained than what they were 30 years ago.
And so when it comes to helping out people, you feel that you're better equipped, right?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, yes.
Well, there's certainly more knowledge, yes.
We have 5 CPR instructors. We have 2 EMT instructors, and we have a training officer, and we're well qualified to teach every one of our members the latest technology and service that they can be to the public.
That's interesting. Now, another question I have is maybe for those that are watching, they know of a first aid squad. They've seen you all over the area, I'm sure. But how do you work? Do you work with a police department? Do you work with a police department and a fire department? Is it that the police department or the fire department will go somewhere and then they will call you? Like, how does that work?
There is a criteria. If you
Okay.
call a 911,
Right.
and you can, if somebody just screams in the phone, you know, that my husband is on the floor, I mean, then that would be an automatic call for the ambulance. Sometimes the police department will go and investigate and then call the ambulance. But there's a certain
An
listing.
ambulance, you mean you?
Yeah.
You're okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
in Oakland, yes.
Okay.
And other than that, I mean, the police department would be the one that's called first. And then they alert us.
So if they need you, they'll call. If they're, say they
Right.
go to the site first and they find that maybe it's too much, or are you like the backup? You come in,
Oh, yes.
or are you just there with them as soon as they go? Or
If
does
they
it
know in
depend on the
advance
call?
that there's injuries or
Right.
that there's medical care, then they'll call us right away.
Okay.
But sometimes they don't know until they get there. Like an auto accident, you might be no injuries,
I see.
and they might not know until they got there.
Right.
And the police are great assistance to us in helping us in any time that we need them. They are our backbones as well as our squad members on an emergency. Police are terrific.
That's great. And what I'd like to ask you also, is there always, please don't all scream at the same time, I think I know the answer. Is there always a need for volunteers? Always a need?
There's always a need.
Always
Always
a
a need, yes.
Always a need.
Mhm.
That could be a good part of this, is to let the public know that we are desperately in need of members. Desperately, and they can call 337-7385
Okay.
and leave their name and number, and someone will get back to them as soon as they can.
Okay. When, say someone right now is watching the show, they're watching us, they hear you, you know, they're interested, they might want to join the first aid squad, but they're thinking, I don't have enough time, or I'm very busy, or I'd love to, they want to, but their schedule, everybody's so busy nowadays, you know, the workforce is very busy. I'd like to ask each of you, maybe I'll start off with Connie, work my way down, and ask you, what made you join the first aid squad? Could you maybe have felt like people that might be watching the show saying, I'd like to help out, but I don't think I have the time, I have a family, I have a job, I have 2 jobs. What prompted you to join the first aid
Well,
squad?
basically my whole adult life has been spent with the first aid squad, and I didn't have any grandiose ideas about when I joined it because I got caught up in the fever in Oakland when it started.
I see.
And one of my neighbors was one of the original members, and she convinced me that I had to do it. So I did it, but I raised 3 children, and I also worked after a while, not in the beginning. And if you care enough, you do find the time.
You find the time.
You do find the time, and there is nothing more rewarding. Nothing.
So you feel very fulfilled.
And I wouldn't like the public to think that we're all this age. We're all sort of retired from riding.
Okay.
And but we still maintain our membership and do whatever we can to help them. And but we do desperately need members.
Okay. And what about you?
Well,
Vivian?
of course, having the loss of my son, I just felt that there must be a way that we could be of service to other people, and our aim was to establish a squad, and if we could help one person a day, boy, that would be something we could accomplish. And now we have 2 vehicles, and there are many times when they're out back to back, and we really have gone a long ways. Our calls are running 800 and some odd calls a year. So I mean that's more than 2 a day if you figure it that way.
Okay.
But of course we became involved. My husband and I felt that this was our way of serving the town if we could get the public to come through and be part of us, and they all just participated, and we were very grateful for everybody that came in to help us. So that was my reason for joining.
That's great. And Bob, how about you?
Well, I came along in 1964. I joined the squad, and before that, I worked next to a fellow who was a member of the Wayne First Aid Squad.
Okay.
And every morning when he was on duty the night before, I would hear his story of his call. And after a while, I thought to myself, I can do that. And that sounds like something that I would enjoy doing. And I'm still here.
That's great. That's great. Really good. Now, are there any, I'd like to just, again, go down the list. Maybe we'll start with Bob first. And ask you, it could be a funny story, maybe an unusual story, but in the time that you've been on the squad, what experience would you like to share to us? Maybe for those that might be watching that, might be thinking about the squad or something, what experience sort of always sticks out in your mind?
I was fortunate enough to be on one of the calls where there was a baby delivered. And that baby was born in the rig as we pulled into the driveway of the hospital. And at the time that we was on our way to the hospital, the one member had said, "We're not going to make it." And they said, "Take one more trip around the parking lot." just so that the baby could get born in the rig.
Okay.
And so as we were backing in,
Right.
the baby was born.
Wow.
And just as the rig stopped, the back doors opened because they knew we were coming in. And as the doors opened, the baby was there.
Now, what year was this again?
Oh, I would say...
I'm sorry, like...
I don't know, it had to be around 1968, somewhere in there.
So that baby is probably,
Yeah.
that's a grown person now.
Well,
so they're probably very grateful.
The first baby we had with the squad was 10 years old when the first baby was born on the rig. And that was in 1964.
Okay.
So that man now is 35 years old.
Wow. Amazing.
So our first baby is 35 years old.
Wow. And they're probably very grateful. And how about you, Vivian? What was an experience that stands out in your mind?
Well, the one that stands in my mind, I was on the squad a number of years, and I had an ambulance call with a man that was injured. He had stepped on a pitchfork. And I was, on my crew, my advisor informed me that you don't remove the pitchfork from the leg, the foot. So we rode to the hospital. with the back door open
Wow.
and the legs sticking out and the pitchfork on the end of the leg. So that
okay.
was my experience.
I didn't know that. See, I would think that you would just, but you don't.
No,
Is
you
it because
don't
you could
remove
damage
it.
something?
Yes,
Okay, I
that's
see.
right. So that was.
Well, that may have changed.
Yes,
over time.
I'm sure it has in these day and
Day-
times.
day
Yes.
and time. Wow, that's amazing. And how about you?
I'm not coming up with anything. I didn't
Right.
give that a thought about an
No.
amusing story.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Well, these sound like really, really interesting stories. I'd like to also ask you, maybe, in your experience with the first aid squad, was there ever a time when maybe you felt you couldn't maybe balance the two, or you never felt like that? You always felt like you can make the time, like you were mentioning to us. You can make the time, no matter where you find the time, you'd always be able to do it. Was there ever a time when you thought, I don't know if I can continue or not, or you never really felt like that? Because the love of it kept you, whatever you'd like to say. Whoever would like to comment.
I always found the time.
You found the
Yeah,
time.
my whole life and raising my children, everything was all around the first aid squad.
So is it like Connie was mentioning to us, if you love it, you're going to find that time, no
Oh, sure.
matter where
Oh,
that
sure.
time comes from.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so rewarding, it really is. And there's so many people who will tell you that I can't do what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
But that isn't really true,
They don't
but they
know.
think that they can.
Right.
But so you sort of feel that maybe you're a little different, that you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And each and every time you go out, it just reinforces that.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly does.
And just to wrap up, what is your capacity now? How do you serve? I know you're still active with the first aid squad. What is your capacity now with the squad? You're still part of it, I guess.
Yes, we are all on different committees.
Okay.
And I for years, I probably have been on the membership committee more than anybody has been on the membership committee. And it's only recently that I got involved with the history of the squad.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did monthly reports on history of the squad.
Mm-hmm. And how about?
Well, I am treasurer,
Okay.
and I have been treasurer for nigh on to 40 years.
Wow.
So they seem to put up with me to handle an expense, and I think we've done pretty
Pretty
well
good,
with
huh?
our accomplishments
Okay.
now.
Okay. And Connie?
Well, I'll speak for this one. We wouldn't
Okay.
be in the good financial state that we are if it wasn't for her handling of the money.
Mm-hmm. So even as your life changes, as you go through the squad, you're always used somehow.
That's-
If not
that's right.
maybe on the hands-on, you're
No.
used for your knowledge
Right.
that
That's
you've acquired
right.
throughout
Yes,
the years.
that's
Things
right.
that you
Yeah.
can help others avoid
Definitely, yes.
as they go through
Mhm.
their course of
Absolutely.
first aid.
Mhm.
That's very, very interesting. Well, we want to thank you for coming and taking the time out to, tell us a little bit about what you do. It's very interesting, and again, there might be some people that are watching, so hopefully there are a lot of people
Right.
watching. So that is very interesting. It's like taking a step back. We have the Oaklander here behind you. That is like Oakland in the past, and so it's very nice to sort of have that full circle. So we want to thank the First Aid Squad for coming and talking to us and sharing such great memories. And this is Ronald Thomas again, concluding with Oakland's First Aid Squad.
Crystal sea, you and me. I love Jamaica. I love the seaside. I love the mountains that roll to the sand. I love the nighttime, the salt spray sunshine. I am learning. You are teaching me. I love Jamaica. I love Jamaica. Just like Adam and Eve, you are the only one for me. In this whole Though sometimes you drive me mad. Some might say we fought, but God knows it's made me tall, and that is more than enough for me. That's more than enough for me.
First, there was chaos. Then there was a light.
A light, a light, a limitless light.
7 days later, we found ourselves alive.
Alive, alive, very much alive. Living here in heaven, we should spread the wealth around. Knowledge is the ladder, the fall is just a dream. Selfishness and greed makes the deity turn green. It's like Adam and Eve, you are the only one for me. In this whole world round, you are the only one I've found, and that is more than enough for me. That's more than enough for me.
Miles from the megalith, ages from the past.
The past, the deep and distant past.
We're very slow at learning. Our leaves are turning fast.
Our leaves are wise, our leaves are turning fast. We should sing and dance to our silliest routine. I said, we should sing and dance to our silliest routine. Honoring the seasons, blessings on your bread. Right, lost, and remember, there's nothing left unsaid. Oh, this may not be even, though I find it hard believing. If it's any better than this, we'd be living in heavenly bliss. We'd be living in heavenly bliss. Just like living in heavenly bliss. We'd be living in heavenly bliss. And that's just more than enough for me.
Okay, that wraps up another show for OKTV. Thank you for letting me host the show. I had a really nice time. I enjoyed myself. Thank you, Al, for letting me host. Hope I can come back. By the way, you can catch me in New York, New Jersey. I'll be doing the weather or reporting. So if you happen to see me, please leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought. And also, I probably won't be back if I don't say these few words for Al, or he will choke me. So I will end by saying, we'll close with a video by Tag Your It, and the video is entitled Adam and Eve. Also, you can check us out at our website, www.oktv.org. That, again, is www.oktv.org. And our news release will be handled by Joe Rusignolo at the online town directory at www.oakland-newjersey.org. Again, that's www.oakland-newjersey.org. And that's where you can read full and uncensored vocal views by Carolyn Carg. For questions and comments on the show, call 201 area code 405-1084. That's for questions and comments, call 201-405-1084. I'm Ronald Thomas. Make the most of your day and the most of your life, and thank you for having me on your show. This is OKTV, signing off.
just